to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Saints Row 2022, or Saints Row Reboot, whatever you want to call it. I played it on the PS5, it's also available on the PS4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, PC, and even the Stadia, because I guess it's still a thing. So you get to create your own boss as per usual, and this time you and your roommates are basically hard up for money, your job's not going well, so you guys decide to rob a bank, you get yourself in trouble with some other syndicates, you start your own syndicate, which is of course the Saints. And that is a basic summary of the story, and I will say this right away, all the characters are okay, but none of them are like, man, they're amazing, they really make this game. So it's kind of disappointing. And overall, the story is actually pretty short. I was shocked at how short it actually is, and just overall, it's perfectly mediocre, it's acceptable, it's passable. But it's not as good as it could have been. Not even close. Now let's get into the audio, and overall, I like the music. I really like a lot of the music in this game, the radio stations specifically. The one thing I found weird in this game when it comes to music, specifically the original soundtrack, is there's music for like all the fucking side missions, but the main missions are deadly silent. It's weird. I don't know if that was a glitch or if that was intentional. As for the sound effects, I think they're actually good when they're working. They definitely disappeared on me several times. And the voiceover work is, for the most part, good. There are a couple of characters where every now and then it could have been better. Now let's get into the gameplay mechanics and whatnot, and this is a third-person open-world action game with some RPG elements, just a little bit in there. Basically everything you'd expect from an open-world game anymore. You've got your main missions, you've got your side missions, you've got your business ventures, all these other little things to do. You can steal vehicles, you can buy guns, you can upgrade those guns. I think they could have gone more in depth with that system, as well as the vehicles, just because you have one place where you can modify vehicles. It's very obnoxious. Like, you'll find a vehicle you want, and you have to drive literally across the map if you want to save it or customize it. That's frustrating. I will say the mission variety is decent. It's nothing that hasn't been done in any of the previous Saints Row games, though. And I'm going to say this now, I took a bunch of notes where I could just sit there and pick this game apart, all the little things that just chip away at the quality. But it's easiest to say, there are a ton of glitches that just really detract from the overall gameplay experience. Ranging from your teammate AIs not doing what you need them to do, just sitting there. Vehicles doing weird shit. Items that you need to drag places that also do weird shit. There's just a wide variety of things that don't work, and there's just so many of them, and it just really chips away at the quality. It's disappointing. Some of these can actually ruin missions. There was one where I had to blow up vehicles, but it would never count the first vehicle I destroyed. It would only count the other 3, so I would only have 3 out of 4. I restarted the mission multiple times. I quit out of the full fucking game, and it wouldn't fix, and then just magically, hours later, it worked, and I wasn't even intentionally doing it. I could honestly spend the next, 15 minutes just bitching about every little thing that went wrong, some weird glitch, but it's best to just say that this game is undercooked. It needed to be worked on another 6 months or more, probably. Let's get into the controls, and for the most part, they're fine. I feel like the camera could have been a little more precise when aiming, but overall it functioned well enough. I don't have too many complaints with the responsivity of the controls. I do think there are some crappy mappings. You have perk abilities that you can use, but you have to, in my case, press R1 and then one of the face buttons, and it just doesn't always come together the way it should. There are also other weird issues, like the shotgun and revolver firing when you let off of the trigger, or the camera randomly snapping to a different direction. Not awesome. These are control issues that need to get sorted out. Let's get into the graphics and visuals, and it's kind of interesting given this is such a modern game compared to whenever the last Saints Row came out, because they really did keep with the visual aesthetic. Everybody is human, and they look kind of cartoony, but not super cartoony. But then there are some details in there that are like realism, like pores in the skin and texture to the skin and so on. And it just looks a little weird. You do get used to it and it stops looking weird, but at first it's just a bit strange. The world itself, the design of the vehicles, the design of the enemies, all of that really does fit with the Saints Row vibe. It fits with what they've done previously, as I said, not like hyper-realistic, kind of cartoony, but not super cartoony, which I think is beneficial to the franchise because it does help differentiate it a little bit from other games out there. And it helps this game, it visually helps you cue into the fact that this is still a Saints Row game. It's bright and colorful, and for the most part that's not a bad thing, but there are times where the lighting gets really red, and if you're taking too much damage, normally your screen gets a little red, but that gets washed out by the other stuff, and you do have a health bar that you can look at, but it's generally a better visual cue when your screen gets red. But when it's red due to the sun lighting and all of that, it's kind of a pain in the ass. That being said, the lighting actually, when it's not screwing you over in that situation, when you're just driving through the city and you can really admire it, is actually pretty damn cool. It's probably better than you would expect from this game, the quality of the lighting effect. So I gotta say, I'm a fan of that. I really was actually shocked by that, in a good way. But unfortunately, not unlike the gameplay, I definitely ran into no shortage of visual glitches to the point where it really did get distracting. It was unfortunate. I don't want this to be a long review, although it could really be a very long review of just me going through all my notes of what is wrong with this game. To wrap it up, though, it's kind of like when Family Guy got canceled for the first time and it came back and it felt watered down. That's how this game feels from a personality standpoint. While it's totally okay in the personality department, it doesn't live up to the franchise it is part of. I'm not saying it needs to be as crazy and over the top as Saints Row 4. I understand why they had to reboot it after that game, but it doesn't even have quite the personality of like Saints Row 2. But on top of that, as I've already said, there are just so many little glitches. This game clearly was not actually ready for launch. It feels like they launched when they did so that they could try and get ahead of their competitors, and the game itself suffered for it. When it's functioning correctly, it's actually an enjoyable experience. So I can't fully hate this game, but I can't love it as much as I want to, and I did really want to. One of the hard parts for me is, like I said, I really wanted to love this game, and I want there to be more Saints Row, but with how poor this game is, the quality at launch, it's just unfortunate. It scares me that there won't be more Saints Row. So I'm gonna say skip for now, but maybe down the road, like 6 months when a lot of patching has occurred, pick it up and have some fun. But for the time being, as of this video, as of the launch of the title, it's a skip for the time being. Okay, so in the comments down below, why don't you tell me what's a franchise that like disappeared for a while and then came back and was actually good? As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, share and subscribe. Have a good one.